What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And in this video, we're going to go over the new stimulus bill proposed by the Senate Republicans. I'm going to give you all the details on that bill. This bill is a counter bill to the bill that was passed in the House by the Democrats. So I'm going to give you guys all the details in this video. But first, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on second stimulus check update videos, unemployment extension update videos, and everything related to that. My wife and I do hours of research for you guys every single day so we can bring you the current up-to-date news in a quick, timely fashion. And as always, don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. Okay, so we know that the Democrats and the House Democrats, the House Representative Democrats and Nancy Pelosi passed their version of a bill on Saturday in an emergency session where they called everybody back to vote on it, and it was basically just money for the post office and nothing else. Well, we now have a counter bill on that from the Republicans, and it has some more money for Americans depending on who you are. I'm going to go over all the details right now. So, this bill by Mitch McConnell and the Republicans is called the Delivering Immediate Relief to America's Families, Schools, and Small Business Act. This is the Republicans' version of a skinny bill, which is meant to pass. It's meant to pass the things that they agree on between the Republicans and the Democrats to get this passed fast. This isn't meant to be the full stimulus package with everything in it, and I'll discuss the details on why that is here in just a minute. Okay, here's what's in the bill. The Senate proposal includes liability protections for businesses and healthcare providers. It also includes a second round of Paycheck Protection Program loans. So what that means is that anybody who owns a small business or possibly even a side hustle, side business, such as you drive for Uber, you sell products on Amazon, if you qualified for the first PPP loan, I say loan, but it's really a forgivable loan or a forgivable grant from the government. So it essentially ends up as basically stimulus money or free money from the government to help your small business, or a small business can be a side hustle, basically an Amazon business. You drive for Uber on the side. That can technically, in the eyes of the government, be considered a small business. So this will be a second round of money for that to help you pay for employees, or if it's a side business, help you pay yourself because yourself counts as an employee. So that will definitely be helping some Americans, for both the small business owner, who a lot of them are struggling. There's so many businesses that are down by over 50% right now and on the verge of going out of business, and also the employees to help them get paychecks from these businesses so that people can continue working. So it helps out two sets of people there, which is a lot more than the post office bill from, the House Democrats. Okay, next up in this bill, an extension of the federal unemployment benefits at a reduced level of $300 per week. This is till the end of the year. I think it's December 27th, which is basically the end of the year, the last week of the year. So what this would do is this would be a more permanent extension to the end of the year that would supersede the presidential executive order. So this will be money, $300 per week, $1,200 per month for all unemployed Americans that are currently have lost their job due to this pandemic. We've currently had somewhere around 60 million people since the start of the pandemic go on unemployment of one time or another. So this would help out millions of Americans in getting more money of unemployment boost, because the current presidential executive order, they're basically taking that money from the disaster relief fund and from FEMA. They're taking money that's allocated for disasters and for similar type of situations, and they're basically using it for the pandemic, which is technically a disaster. So that money could run out in a month. So this is a more permanent extension, if they were to pass this, to pass it to the end of the year for the unemployment extension. Next up is $105 billion for schools. with funding distributed to elementary and secondary schools and higher education institutions, and to each state to address education related priorities. The proposal, however, does not include federal assistance for state and local governments, a provision that remains a top priority for House and Senate Democrats. With only 39 days until the end of the fiscal year on September 30th, there is growing speculation that the threat of a looming government shutdown will provide additional strain to bring administration officials and key congressional leaders back to the negotiating table. And you also might be wondering, yes, there is no mention of a stimulus check to be sent out to Americans. So we have money for Americans in the form of PPP money for small business owners and people who work for small businesses. And we also have money for unemployment extension for people who have lost their job right now. But in this particular bill, there is not a mention of a stimulus check. Now, let me explain to you why this isn't the end of the world. Number one, if you've been listening to me, maybe the Senate and the House should listen to my channel. I mean, it's not a hard thing. Here's what's going to happen. The same thing that the House Democrats passed this proposal in the House for the USPS. And what did the Senate say? The Republicans said they don't want it because they didn't negotiate on it. Well, the Republicans did the same thing. They drafted this bill without negotiating with the Democrats, and the Democrats are going to not agree to this. So even though we have this new bill proposal arrival from the Republicans, it's unlikely to pass because, again, it's what the Republicans want, okay? It's interesting that they don't mention a check because we've had so many times from Republicans and Democrats and the president about passing a check, a direct stimulus check to Americans. And they have unemployment in there in PPP. They have a lot of things that both sides agree on there, but not the stimulus check. I do really feel that there is going to be a stimulus check because both sides said they agree on it. And I think it's probably something to be left up there to be negotiated on so that they feel like the other side can feel like they negotiated something into the package. The other thing that I firmly believe, I firmly believe that this could happen. And I remember I was the first one to report this to you a week or two ago. Okay. If anybody copies me, remember that you heard it from Jimmy on YouTube first. Okay. The president was made to look like the hero when he swooped in and passed those presidential executive orders, okay? Passed 4 of them, with the unemployment extension, the eviction moratorium, the student loan moratorium, and also the money for the payroll tax holiday, which is supposed to start on September 1st, where people will start taking home more money in their paychecks. People that are working will basically get a 7.65% raise to the end of the year, okay? So he passed those things and he basically swooped in and looked like the hero. Mostly to unemployed people because the people that are working haven't gotten that bonus yet, but they are supposed to get it starting next week. So here's kind of what happened. Let's rewind a little bit. The Democrats and the Republicans both couldn't agree. They couldn't agree, and this looming deadline was there that, oh my God, they're all gonna go on vacation. What's gonna happen? And we came up to this dramatic close of the deadline and there was no deal. So then what happened is the very next day, the president swooped in and passed these presidential executive orders because Congress couldn't come to a deal. Now, who's kidding who? Now, the president's talking with, Mark Meadows and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, the Republican negotiators, every single day. They could have made a deal on the last day or two if they wanted to. Okay, and then the president wouldn't have had to swoop in with those presidential executive orders. But they didn't make a deal, and then the president swooped in, and he got a lot of praise for it. I mean, he's helping out unemployed Americans. He's helping people from getting evicted. He's helping from people, not having to pay their student loans back right now and no interest during this pandemic. And then he's going to help people who are working with the payroll tax holiday. So the president swooped in. He got a lot of praise from that. He probably won millions of votes just by doing that. Congress can't agree. President steps in. Now, again, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a realist. I'm just saying that the president did a good job there because he did help out Americans, but the Republicans could have passed it by negotiating, okay? And then the president swooped in. So I just want to say, I've been the first one to say this. I would not be surprised at all if the president swoops in again with a $1,200 stimulus check, okay? And a lot of the naysayers say he can't do that. He can't print money. But he did do it with the unemployment money, okay? He did do it. People are getting their checks right now, okay? And there's a lot of states that are going to be getting them this week that have already applied and been approved from the government. So if he can do it with the unemployment money, he can take billions of dollars and give it to the unemployed. He can take billions of dollars and give it to people for a stimulus check also. All he's got to do is the creative thing they did the first time around with the unemployment and the presidential executive order is find a place to take the money from. The disaster relief fund, the U.S. general fund, whatever fund they want to come up with that has already have the money allocated for disasters, for whatever they want to come up with, right? There's billions and billions and billions of dollars sitting in these funds, okay? They're already there. In fact, the first stimulus check has billions of dollars. Last time I looked, it was well over $100 billion that hadn't been spent from the first stimulus check. That money is supposed to go to states and cities, but a lot of them like haven't tapped into it or haven't gotten around the rules that they need to qualify for to use it, et cetera, et cetera. So the president could tap into that money and say, this money's already passed for stimulus. And instead of states and cities, we're going to give the stimulus to the people. Okay. Or he taps into one of their other funds and gives the stimulus check to the people. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that in September, which is only a few days away. And they get that whole process rolling, and people start to get their checks in September and October. And bam, then there's the election on November 3rd. And remember, he already did this. He already did it with the unemployment money. So I'm going to get 100 comments down below that say he can't do that. He already did it, okay? He already did it. They just got to find money in one fund, shift it to another. And remember, the first stimulus package already has hundreds of billions of dollars that hasn't been spent yet. So they could spend that on the American people in the form of a stimulus check. And, the unemployment, they'll pass an extension from, either the Republican or the Democrat bill. So I just want to say that I don't really find this discouraging because I don't think this bill is going to pass anyways. Just like I didn't think that the Democrat bill that they passed in the House is going to pass officially. They have to pass it in the House and the Senate, and the Senate's controlled by the Republicans, and the Republicans laughed at it. So the Republican bill is going to probably be laughed at by the Democrat. They have to negotiate on this stuff ahead of time, and that's why the negotiations between the two Democrats and the two Republicans, Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin, that negotiation is actually more important than these other bills. And what the president does is very important because he could basically draft this bill, we'll hear about it, and he'll pass it within 24 hours, and then poof, it'll be done. And honestly, the Democrats won't challenge it. You think they're going to challenge a bill that gives stimulus checks to Americans right before the election? That would seal the fate of every Democrat up for re-election, including Joe Biden, right before the election. So if the president comes in, passes this executive order, takes the money out of one fund, and passes his executive order, the Democrats aren't going to try a lawsuit and hold it up, just like they didn't with the unemployment, because if they hold up unemployment money for millions of Americans, they look like the worst bad guys the United States has ever known. The same thing will happen with a stimulus check if the president passes it on his own. They're not gonna hold up a stimulus check in court right before an election. It would be a political disaster on the Democrats. So I'm not really discouraged by this bill because this bill's not going to pass anyways, and they have to negotiate on all this stuff anyways. And I also have a really big feeling that the president wants to step in and be the hero again. Whether you like him or not, if he steps in and gives stimulus checks to everybody because they couldn't negotiate on a deal, he's going to be, on the favorable side of millions of Americans. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to hear them. And make sure you guys are subscribed so you get future updates. And don't forget to smash the like button for us. And you can click on this top video to watch my newest stimulus check video. And this bottom video is about the mail-in voting problems. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income, and I teach them how to do that. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.